Hello, my name is George Tarvola and this is Transcend Impact, an online space for talking about international corporate volunteering, otherwise known as Global Pro Bono. Now, in my last post, I spoke at length about what it takes to have a successful Global Pro Bono program in your company. And you may be forgiven for thinking the list was quite long, and what company has the time, capacity, and inclination to go to such lengths for what is, for most, an untried and untested initiative? Well, the good news is that most companies that have global pro bono programs don't do all the work alone. You may or may not be aware of the role of intermediaries in global pro bono, but they are essentially the organizations working behind the scenes to make the magic happen. Hence, this week's question is, what is the role of global pro bono intermediaries? As mentioned previously, global pro bono programs within companies are usually coordinated by their CSR departments. But not all companies have a whole CSR department. Some may just have a CSR specialist in the marketing or HR department. Whatever the case, companies interested in global pro bono often don't know where to start, how to sell the business value of such programs, and how to get them designed and rolled out. Furthermore, companies often have no idea who to work with, especially when it comes to choosing countries and selecting social impact organizations. So, who can they turn to? Who can bridge the gap between the for-profit business world and the non-profit social sector? Enter the intermediaries, sometimes known as pro bono service providers. In countless examples around the world, successful global pro bono programs have been largely dependent on the role of intermediaries. As the name suggests, intermediaries act as the middlemen or women operating between companies in developed countries and social impact organizations in the developing world. Remember, when I use this catch-all term social impact organizations, I'm referring to a wide range of entities such as non-profits, NGOs, civil society organizations, charities, as well as social enterprises and academic institutions. Now, intermediaries themselves operate in a number of different ways, so the general roles I'll describe right now don't necessarily apply to them all. For companies, intermediaries can be engaged at every stage of the program cycle. In the conceptual phase, they can support CSR departments to create the business case for adopting global pro bono in order to sell the concept internally to senior management. And once companies commit to giving global pro bono a go, intermediaries can guide them through the process of designing programs, such as strategically aligning them with business or HR goals, developing monitoring and evaluation tools, assisting with recruitment, and facilitating orientation and training for selected global pro bono volunteers. In parallel, at the other end of the spectrum, intermediaries often have a physical presence in developing countries so they can access local networks to identify and select the most appropriate social impact organizations, secure their executive management buy-in, establish organizational agreements, conduct needs assessments, and set standards for readiness for social impact organizations to adhere to in order to qualify to receive global pro bono volunteers. The next key step is getting the right fit, which I've talked about before. That is matching companies and the professional skills of their employees with the most appropriate social impact organizations and projects that maximize the potential of impact. In my opinion, getting the right fit really is the most significant area in which intermediaries add tangible value to global pro bono. Needless to say, getting the right fit also includes designing individual global pro bono project scopes of work with realistic expectations, timelines, milestones, roles, and responsibilities. Intermediaries support this process by opening communication channels and offering technical assistance to both parties throughout the process. When it comes to global pro bono volunteers traveling to countries for their placements, some intermediaries also offer local logistics support and regular contact with volunteers and social impact organization focal points to gauge progress and keep projects on track. In terms of monitoring and evaluation, it's intermediaries that often take the lead in measuring social impact, the ultimate determinant of success of Global Pro Bono, so that it is quantified and reported to Global Pro Bono volunteers and their companies back home. So, as you can see, intermediaries really are the unsung heroes of Global Pro Bono. In some cases, they operate themselves as non-profits. In others, they operate as social purpose or social benefit corporations, which are basically for-profit businesses that utilize a commercial approach to achieve social impact. So let me introduce you to a few standout intermediaries, and I'll include their links in the description below. Firstly, the leading pro bono intermediary in the world right now would have to be US-based nonprofit, the Taproot Foundation, who over 16 years have worked with over 80 companies, strengthening over 4,600 social impact organizations by channeling more than $170 million in pro bono support. Taproot Foundation really have helped to define, build, and advance the field of pro bono around the world. Taproot advisors work directly with companies to tailor programs and guide them through the entire process. Another US-based intermediary specifically focused on global pro bono and who work directly with volunteers, companies, and social impact organizations is Pixera Global, who have been around for over 25 years, in which they've worked with over 30 major companies, including giants such as IBM, SAP, PepsiCo, and FedEx, in over 90 countries, benefiting more than 28,000 local clients. Other intermediaries deliver their pro bono services through online platforms that provide a space for volunteers, companies, and social impact organizations around the world to connect and find each other. A bit like dating sites, where each stakeholder fills out a personal profile, gets screened to ensure they're serious, then look for the perfect match. An example of this kind of intermediary is Moving Worlds, a US-based social purpose corporation who have linked more than 600 global pro bono volunteers, or experteers as they call them, in over 600 social impact organizations in 60-odd countries. There's also Catch a Fire, a pro bono intermediary based in New York, who have the interesting approach of charging a small monthly fee to social impact organizations to have access to a network of over 30,000 skilled professional volunteers. In Australia, another country with a more established pro bono ecosystem, there are several examples of successful web-based intermediaries, such as The Good Company or Bonojo, who both offer through their websites pro bono opportunities for individuals and companies to get matched with community-based social impact organizations. Another intermediary who takes the web-based concept one step further is Volley, who offer pro bono opportunities for individual skilled professionals to actually volunteer online. Obviously, there are other successful intermediaries around the world, but it really is still a fledgling industry, so there are very few specifically focused on global pro bono, especially in regions where there isn't an established culture of corporate volunteering. All in all, intermediaries, in my opinion, are an essential component of making global pro bono successful by providing high-quality professional services to both companies in developed countries and social impact organizations in the developing world. Intermediaries make this purposeful work more consistent and its effects more lasting by providing a wide breadth of supportive services to both the suppliers and recipients of global pro bono, before, during, and after in-country placements. In doing so, intermediaries magnify the power of global pro bono and, in effect, help the practice transcend impact. And that brings me to the end of this post. As usual, really appreciate your time. Please feel free to comment, like, share, subscribe, and until next time, thank you for watching.